to the, okay, Maricyasana C. The right leg goes to the Maricyasana position first, meaning the right leg bends. The left leg, you're trying to keep a bit of an inner spiral in, but let's not worry about that too much right yet. So this is, it's a flexion twist. It, and I'm pointing that out because I want you to make the connection to Parshva Konasana or Pravrita Parshva Konasana, and how that is also a flexion twist. So what you're doing here, you know, it's a different center of gravity, things have shifted, but the action of the left arm going around the right leg is actually really similar to the twist. So what you can see here is Paul has his back hand. I mean, he just naturally did this. He put his back hand here and kind of used it as an outrigger as he started to hug. Don't just hug for now. As he started to hug his right leg. And I really like the hugging of the right leg. I always teach it this way because it puts the left shoulder in the correct rotation to start to make the bind. And the right hand here is helping to shift his weight forward. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let's just focus on this hugging arm for a moment. So when he's hugging here, he's moving his left armpit to his right knee. And that's an important step in binding Maricyasana. It's really difficult to make the bind until your armpit and your knee touch. So if you are, for example, way back here when you're hugging and you start trying to make the bind, I mean, it's nearly impossible. Like you just can't, the elbow will prevent you from being able to wrap. So you want to work gradually to the point where your armpit and your knee are together. And until you get there, that's just the work for some people at this point, right? So you just stay here and you keep hugging and you're working it in tightly. So for some of you, that might just be where it is for right now. I want to take a moment though and point out what I don't want you to do because I see it so commonly. And what I see all the time, and Paul, this is CJ joining us, is this wave. Right? Like a lot of people do this. Everyone do it right now. I want you just to feel the difference in your back when you do the wave. So just notice how it feels in the back. Hug again. Notice how that feels in the back. So you might actually think the wave feels better in the back, and it might, but it's a very different sensation. So can you just do it so I can point out on you, Paul?
That's awful.
So he doesn't like it, but the wave puts your back in extension. So this would be more of like an extension twist, but that's not what this posture is. This posture is a flexion twist. So this, a lot of people are going to say, like, it feels like I'm twisting more this way, and that might be true, but this is not getting you closer to Maricyasana C, because now not only is the back extended and we want it flexed, but also, can you just do that wave one more time? The shoulder is in external rotation here. And to bind, you need it in internal rotation. So what I often see is when people are actually doing this twist with the wave, they push themselves further away from their leg, and then they're further away from the leg, and the arm is in the wrong rotation because the arm has to come this way to bind, and then you also have to fill in this whole gap here to bind. So my suggestion is when you're working this pose and working on getting into it and getting deeper, you do the hug. The second thing I want to point out is that outrigger arm, which Paul did naturally. A lot of people do naturally. That's an indication that the weight naturally wants to tilt back a little bit, which is really common. That's super common. So what you could do would be to just sit on a blanket or something here, a folded blanket. And the folded blanket shifts the weight forward a little bit, which for a lot of people is going to make it easier to close this gap between the armpit and the knee and the torso and the leg. So those are two things that you can do to bring yourself closer. From this point, once you're here, you can start to bring the left arm over the left knee. So basically from that hug, you can perhaps just start to slide it over, pop it over even, and then reach back from there and bind. Nice. And the straight leg, continues with a subtle internal spin.